So you may be wondering how simplifying these fractions is applicable to the derivative or to the distributive property. Even if you weren't wondering that, I'm going to tell you anyway. How this applies to the distributive property, you'll notice that we have, in this first example, we have a quantity which is 4x minus, here, let me erase that because that is messy and is not working real well. We have this quantity, 4x minus 16, that is being divided by this 3. So let's think about what division actually means. Dividing by a number is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. And that is something down here, I'll explain that a little bit. For example, in the past you have taken, for example, 1/4 divided by, say, 2/3. Well, the way you solved that was you changed it to a multiplication and multiplied it by the reciprocal of 2/3, which is 3/2. 3/2 is a reciprocal of 2/3. That's how you changed it. So dividing by a 3 would be equivalent to multiplying by its reciprocal. And the reciprocal of 3, which is basically 3 over 1, is 1/3. So that's how we can do this using the distributive property to simplify these. And then it just becomes a matter of distributing by multiplying that 1/3. So we end up with 4/3 x minus 16/3. And neither of these two fractions can be reduced. So that is rewriting that fraction as a difference because of that minus sign. Now the next one, very similar. We're taking that quantity that's in the numerator, 11 plus 3x, and we're dividing it by 6, which is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. The reciprocal of 6 over 1 is 1/6. So then we distribute that 1/6. So when we do that, we end up with 11/6 plus 3/6 x. Be very careful taking that 3 and that 11, multiplying it by the numerator only. And then we check to see if either of these fractions can be reduced. There is no common factor of 11 and 6 other than 1. However, with the 3/6, there is a common factor of 3 and 6. It is 3. So when we divide the 3 by 3, we get 1. When we divide 6 by 3, we get 2. So that becomes 1/2 x in simplified form. There are a couple more of these examples. We will do those the same way, applying the distributive property. We're taking the quantity 15 plus 6x, and we're going to multiply it by the reciprocal of 12, since that is what we're dividing by. And the reciprocal of 12 is 1/12. And then we distribute by multiplying. And again, taking these whole numbers only times the numerator. So 15 times 1, so that becomes 15/12. And 6 times 1, that becomes 6/12x. And then we can look to reduce those individual fractions. 15 and 12 have a common factor of 3, so we're going to divide each of those by 3. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 5 and 4 have no further common factors other than 1. 6 and 12 have a common factor of 6, so we're going to divide each of those by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. And we still have the x. And that is the simplified sum for that fraction. And finally, D, we're taking that quantity, 4 minus 2x. Since we're dividing it by 8, we're going to multiply it by its reciprocal, which is 1/8. And when we distribute, we're going to multiply 1/8 by each of those. And again, multiplying these whole numbers only by the numerator. So we end up with 4/8 minus 2/8x. And then we look to see if we can reduce these. 4 and 8 have a common factor of 4. So we divide each of them by 4 to turn it into 1/2. 2 and 8 have a common factor of 2. Dividing each of them by 2 becomes 1/4 x. In the next video, we will have some fun.